The OWCS Korea play-ins and seeding decider matches happened during the limbo state of Juno gameplay. Some people claimed that she would be worse in pro play than a colorblind person trying to solve a Rubik's Cube, and others said she might be alright maybe. As a result, a few teams tried her out and yielded varying degrees of success. Another thing you'll notice is that there are two very different kinds of seeding matches. Games with ZETA Division and all the other ones. For example, Crazy Raccoon 3-0ing Poker Face in a pretty convincing fashion. Mentally, the Poker Face backline were not prepared for this matchup. Before Junbin even preheated the oven, the PF backline was scared of being served. FiXa had the willpower to hold this beat at 20 HP even with all of CR trying to strike him down. But as soon as Junbin had him alone, he folded instantly and hit the sound barrier leapfrog technique to get out. FiXa had no clue what was going on in the rest of that fight and he did not care. This was a primal fight or flight response. This happens on the next map as well, where Winston jumps in and Simple starts bugging to the point of the Kitsune guiding us directly into a wall 180 degrees away from the fight. But hold on, this ain't Junbin. You mean to tell me we're acting this goofy about the Max Winston? Bro couldn't believe it himself either. He's looking over like, what the fuck are they doing down there? It's as if they had executive orders from the top down to spare no ultimate expense in order to deal with the Crazy Raccoon tank demon. And even with all this caution, they still got one punch like Junbin got the Little Mac power meter fully charged every fight. Then compare that to ZETA Division vs Team Falcons, where ZETA gave us a glimpse of what Juno could look like in Pro Overwatch, immediately followed by what was at the time the worst Juno play in the history of professional Overwatch. But that didn't last too long, as Chio would look to improve upon that in the actual bracket. But Violet was the pioneer, heroically leading his team into battle before losing the fight despite using 3 ults to 1. Bro is moving like he is the alpha threat, but no, you are on Juno. From there, Finn decided it was his turn to drive the bus, and we saw the potential that we now know was very real. Much like youngster Joey, he was on that rat grind set, using never before seen techniques such as living and farming ult to bulldoze the round. Unfortunately, after 2 overall strong points, ZETA went out unbelievably sad to more support trolling. I don't know why, but for this round specifically, Finn and Violet had terminal ranked disease as they took turns walking out main and spontaneously combusting. But now that we're on map 2, everybody is locked in. Each team is threatening lead almost constantly, so once it got down to 2 minutes, it was getting kinda shice. Knowing this, Smurf was trying to get active because they still haven't got the checkpoint, but Finn dropped the lane and he knew he was finished on the spot. His best odds of getting out of this place alive was dropping to his knees and praying that Hanbin's DM could reach him from outside the lobby. However, at this point in the stage, Falcons are pretty used to doing things without Smurf around, and Chio might not be the main tank, but he is the tank that mained up. Bro popped the rally in a 4v5 and started swinging that thing. With the additional HP, Fielder was ready to cook. Bernard was snoozing on the job. Alpha E tried to box and got casually 2-tapped, and then Bernard decided, you know what, I want to take back-to-back L's and held this anti-nade, and proper eviscerated Violet like an ant under a magnifying glass. Then he whipped out the Va. That's great and all, but they still couldn't get the lead because this bum bot had to take a timeout, which gave Alpha E ample opportunity to go demon mode. He pushed the ult economy so far in ZETA's favor that it was Jove. Bro's out here hitting 2 1-clips in the same fight, and I don't care that both players were hitting the mannequin challenge. Xbox, record that. If Falcons can kite a support ult or find a crazy pick, it could be winnable. But instead, Smurf is found once again trying to jump to a place on the map that does not exist. Fielder saw this and gave up. It is time to go next map. Luckily, Smurf redeemed himself and had a moment of clarity through the haze of whatever that last jump was. I don't know if it's dementia or Alzheimer's, maybe even lupus. And I know it's never lupus, but like, I don't know what the fuck that was. Whatever ails his mind does not matter anymore because he took his prescription and got to business. And this shows that when he locks in for real, he can still be that guy, because on the other side, Heesung was doing less with more. Compared to Smurf's Primal, this kid is flailing about like a Magikarp at full HP. It doesn't even matter that he had that adamant 252 attack with Choice Banded Nano Boost. It took way too many turns to kill. Someone else who's been quiet, like he's hiding under the covers past his bedtime with his DS, is is Stalker, and I don't know what changed about this map, but he just started tweaking. Perhaps he had a little bit of whatever perked Smurf up into his gamer water, or maybe it's just Stalker's Suravasa surprise. Whatever the case, he gave Flora zero respect, blinked right past him to kill Finn, because he knew bro was not built for this. Even with the recall advantage, Flora is giving him a small bus worth of space, and on the final point, he ain't even let ZETA fight back. On the exact same frame that Violet rallied, bro had the pulse bomb premeditated. After that Falcons map win, Stalker needed to go, so ZETA's head coach Changoon broke into his supply and left a little line of something on Krusty's doorstep. From there, it did not take any convincing, because we know he loves putting Stalker on the bench at every opportunity. It would make too much sense to keep him in this lobby. This gave Alpha Yi the freedom to go uncontested on Mei. With Proper not wanting to pick it up and Brig not yet being discovered, it meant he was the only player trying to stop the Diva Mafia from owning a majority stake in the lobby. Now, I'm not gonna say it worked completely. Using Mei to try and stop Hanbin from being a presence in the lobby only works if he decides to swap over to Winston for God knows what reason. Alpha Yi was still a victim. His Blizzard was a delectable treat, but he worked enough as a distraction while at the same time finding more picks than the guy who got subbed in specifically to do that. He came into the gunfight with a weaponized snow cone machine and started taking names. He locked Hanbin up and practiced his ice cream guy routine where they fool around with your cone using some dipsy doodles and funny hand movements, but his tricks are far more sinister than your average street merchant. You cannot walk away and you can't hide behind nothing, because Alpha Yi got unlimited range. Which brings us to the Fielder masterclass that is map 5. And I was gonna say it's unlike anything we've ever seen before, but that would be a monstrous lie, because we are very intimate with this game. This is common Fielder gameplay. He doesn't have DNA, he gives AND. Anti-nade disease on the entire enemy team. The timing, the positioning, every minute detail is peak. It doesn't matter how often I see it. Every time, it's everywhere. I can't help it. It's too much. It's too much. What's the counterplay to a cross-map nade with Stalker living up to his name right beside you? What do you even do? Give up? File a restraining order? Maybe keep Krusty high and pray Stalker remains out the lineup? I don't know, but the options are very limited and something needs to be done. You can't just roll with Alpha Yi playing Simpsons hit and run every time he has a pulse bomb to get shit done. I understand wanting to be out of his LOS and trying to avoid confrontation, but I fear he will still hit the goob nade. Fielder clinched the series and Falcons got even after their group stage loss. Now, if Falcons want to prove that they're back, they have to make their game against Crazy Raccoon at least competitive. Fielder had no problem with that, starting off by demonstrating exactly why Alpha Yi was going with a stealth build last game. It's like these guys think Fielder is your average Skyrim NPC. No bro, he will see you if you try to run it down. But I fear Fielder is not God, and he gets caught looking through his scope like he's searching for a snack in the back of the fridge during the last fight on map 2. This was especially painful because Falcons almost full held on first point, but the pressure was too much, and when Proper saw what HaeSang was doing, he needed to try it out himself. HaeSang is playing Farah like he went full Zahir and let go of his earthly tethers since Season 6 Shock blew up. He be studying the ancient ways of Guru Ding. Proper though, he is still very much tied to this plane. His mind ails him and so his body cannot prosper. Junbin has carved out a portion of Proper's mind, so it is impossible for him to be as dialed in as HaeSang. We can visually witness the sheer panic Proper is experiencing as Junbin spawns in behind him. What's really crazy is that this happens as Stalker is in hot pursuit, and then all of a sudden his ankles were broken so badly that he instantly gaslit himself into thinking it must have been the wind. At this point, Junbin's movement isn't just different, it's a whole other game. Diddy's lawyer about to have an easier time explaining all that baby oil than anyone trying to break down what Junbin does on a map-to-map basis. Anyway, Falcons are not quite back at this point, as you might be able to tell by Lip missing the tracer jump and then rolling Stalker regardless. To this day, we still don't know what he was saving recall for or what he was shooting at, but my leading theory is that he was anticipating Junbin to roll through the wall. With this, Crazy Raccoon continue their massive 27 map win streak in official matches with no sign of stopping anytime soon. Now, we take a deviation from the seeding deciders and look at the games that really matter, the play-ins. Starting at the bottom with an all-time Lysol vs Mr. Clean toilet bowl banger between Vesta crew and Old Ocean. I'm not going through this whole game. Honestly, I wasn't gonna watch it at all, but the agency replay stream chat knew this map 5 was not something we could afford to miss. So, tempted by the rumors of a Becky 4K, I went in. It's overtime, Probe took out Minute in a second, and Ancient Ocean have many meters to go. So, he got huge Demoglio on Vec before sending Bob out on an early vacation. But Minute didn't want to be anyone's maid and put the work on Ryu Jae-hong with a frame-perfect dodge on his sleep dart. Back in 2017, Jae-hong would have hit this and then been glazed more than a 16th century ceramic pot that he made as a child. But he is no longer playing against a plumber. In fact, he brought someone supervising plumbers to the game. They knew Minute was still back there, and with his tournament life on the line, Probe sat back and observed. This let Minute live back there for free, touch the point, get big pressure, and eventually win the series. Now, the winner of this went on to play the loser of FNATIC and HaeJeokDan, and either of them should Shimon Decrepit Ocean or the Dark POV, but we'll get to who kicked them out after some more deciding seeds. Which means, yup, it's time for another ZETA Division match, with the main protagonist of the story being the relatively newcomer Proud and the old incomer Violet. Right off the bat in map 1, you could tell there was a doozy coming, because Violet would rather jump off the map than die to the Belosria Junker Queen. But when Proud is going off the map, he alters the trajectory and kills 2 in the process. Pokerface had the playbook on full display, with a huge TP bait into window main that made Heesung realize he is not built for this. And while ZETA's Junocom still won the round, Finn had not yet learned that shooting this gun outside of orbital ray is the same as punching SpongeBob, which means Heesung was not around for as long as he would have liked. But somehow, ZETA came out on top, and Proud was not pleased in the slightest. And I knew Proud was like that, but damn, he's out here sniping with more accuracy and precision than prime Alexander Ovechkin. He was hitting more crits than a sniper scope lens Gigantamax Inteleon. But either Violet didn't believe the hype, or his phone buzzed and he was expecting an offer, so he took a look. And if it's the latter, this punctual, efficient, zero hesitation inting is what makes him the GOAT. But Proud wasn't just about to take his hand out to the bank, he wanted more. So after absorbing Alfie's dive, that was really more of a checklist item so he could say that he tried to pressure the Widow, Proud went back to work. First taking a calm look under and then popping up like a free mobile game, but he is not playing. And if you thought he was finished, you'd be right. 3 kills in 1 fight is far too many until bang, he got 1 more in him. And just when you think it's over, he comes back for more from the exact same location on the exact same player. It's just cinema. It's at this point in the story where we turn to explore the side characters a bit more, because while Proud is off dynamiting his demons, there were bigger problems ahead, such as Bernard having a personal banquet on all of Choi Se-won's pulse bombs, like a newly encountered Mon eats rare candies in a Nuzlocke. It was always just as he was starting to feel himself too. He'd get a kill and then go for the clip, because if we aren't doing that, what are we really doing here? As it turns out, Bernard was the one looking to add to the highlight reel, and I get it. For the entirety of last match, there was no Bernard glazing session. But in the end, Choi was not the biggest loser of this map, and someone else had it a lot worse. First, Finn got trolled by his own teammate, as Violet said this looks like an ish you, not an ish me, and got out of there with the quickness that he could share, but chose not to. Violet basically told him to go die, and since then, he was never the same. The downward spiral started with one of the most tragic roads he has ever tried to pave. This has got to be an OSHA violation. He got ran over by heavy machinery, and to make matters worse, in the dying seconds with a big push ahead, he died with full cooldowns and Kitsune Rush available to once again heavy machinery. Do not let this man near a forklift, it would be disastrous. Now, while Choi wasn't the biggest loser of map 3, in map 4 he got put on a shirt. Apparently taking his pulse bombs and montage plays was not enough for Bernard, because he broke out the pocket Orisa. When this happens, you do not need to take a seat on the Blues Clues thinking chair. You already know what comes next. Which means we have a map 5. And even though Choi was subbed out, it did not stop Bernard from eating pulse bombs like he's trying to get his money's worth at an all-you-can-eat buffet. However, that's not going to win the map. And neither is brawling it against FiXa on Brig in a small room. This eventually led to a last fight scenario Zeta, where Zeta rotated around to flip the map and force the issue with Violet's orbital ray. But when money calls, you know Violet's gonna pick up within one ring. He makes the masterful gambit to abandon the high ground, letting himself be an easy kill before he can use the most impactful ult in the game. This puts Zeta in a tough spot where they need to full hold Poker Face from 80% on the point, but up against the gods of Blizzard World, they never stood a chance. PF didn't even bother with the Ballbrig Zen comp, they just sent out Jwoo to make it happen. Because he's splitting playtime with Choi, he plays Tracer like he's one bad map away from firing up the McDonald's grill. And while this string didn't win the map outright, pressuring Violet to rally tipped the ult economy in their favor, helping them secure this heroic win. This performance might have been what gave Jwoo the nod to start map 1 versus Falcons, but Poker Face got absolutely trashed. Belosria got 0 to death chain grabbed Icy's style by a Smurf XGO team up. Smurf opened up his pockets and launched a discount airline with the express purpose of flying FiXa across the map for this Ajax. Plays like these are what convinced me that deep down, he is still him. Smurf, wake up, bro. We need you. Come back, come back. Overwatch needs you, bro. Take your pills, do something, please, please. And Proper was just doing his thing. It's another normal day at the office. He ain't considered a thing about Poker Face a single moment of his life, and it wasn't gonna start now. But the Poker Face confidence was not gone. Even in that map, FiXa stared down Proper, ran the calculations, and punched him with the aura of 1,000 suns. Bro really is the thinker. He visualized the steps he needed to take to snatch Proper's chain just to find out that it's green. Proper, the people are wondering, why is your chain green? Then the Han Binston showed up for no real reason, and things were never the same. Choi was subbed in and had more 2Ks than the average NBA fan with a console. I don't know what it is, but he just might be the GOAT at finishing 2 mid kills with chip from other Poker Face players. I don't know how they decide who plays Tracer, if it's rock, paper, scissors, vibes, or just for fun, but it's working out and Choi is not letting go. Belosria also came through with some primals of his own, trying to prove that he too had the reputation and abilities to stand beside Prophet in Owl. And while the jury is still out on that particular issue, there is no doubt that he was fucking up Falcons on all fronts. Smurf even had some aerial competition because Belosria took Fielder on a trip. And although there was no Ajax, if you imagine that there was, it's equally as swag, let's be serious. And now, before the final Zeta Division match, let's look at the disaster class of FNATIC versus HJD. Things were looking bad for FNATIC right off the bat, because Prophet was fixing to have one of those games where he turns into God out of nowhere, and there is nothing anyone can do to stop him. If he was in one of the TikToks that ask, what if Prophet decided to take over the world? Well, if he's having a legacy game, it's over. World domination, he won. But I'm not sure if it was really like that, because FNATIC looked so lost that I couldn't tell if it was gonna happen. They have no clue what the plan is. They don't even have concepts of a plan. I know we've seen a couple bad Kiri ults in this video, but this lane might be the worst of all time. Every member of FNATIC is going in the opposite direction, and nobody on HJD is even in the area of the lane. I just don't know where he's trying to go with this one. At the beginning, it wasn't too bad. I mean, they didn't get around on Lysandre, but they were still trying to fight back. At least HaeJeokDan was getting active. But after this horrific 0-3 New Junk City loss, losing 2 maps and 5 points in a row to a team who had previously won 2 maps total against real opponents, they crashed out completely. It was over. The only player still in it was Donghack, and I don't know how. He must have been out of voice, tuned into some PGE Hopecore type videos, because bro was running around the map with the quickness of all 3 Powerpuff Girls combined to get the job done. He was trying to contain the threat of Prophet on Widow, smacking his ass down. Then he hit the any % speed run across the map to try and help checkmate on the dive, but bro already took himself out, so there was nothing to do there. But there is more to do. He had to peel for his backline before they turned into fossil fuels, and then took a second to do everybody's taxes. Once that was done, he had to make shit happen. Took down the Axis powers of unkillable targets by striking down a rallying brig, a primaling monkey, and a full HP tracer. Doing all of this to still get 3-0'd by HaeJeokDan is nasty work. Donghack cannot catch a break, bro. FNATIC still made it to Korea playoffs because if they lost to Vesta crew, Donghack would turn into a primaling Winston IRL. But now they had to play the third best team out of seeding, which should make it harder to place a top 4 spot that gets you to the Asia playoffs. Bringing us to the last ZETA match as they go against Crazy Raccoon. This time, they completely gave up on the Juno Vision. Unfortunately, it did not stop Chorong from sending toilets spinning down the drain like the rat from Flushed Away. He ain't even really try to get back up. He hops forward a little bit and he's like, you know what? Fuck this. I'm going to spawn, dog. Bro was no longer an Alpine Ibex goat. This angle was far too steep to climb. Still, the comp switch up didn't stop Crazy Raccoon from winning Lysandre 2-0, with every single part of this roster looking like a machine. Not even a Kiriko pick could pave a road to success. And then, out of nowhere, all Twitch co-stream gamblers hear a whisper in their ear. Sir, I regret to inform you that Lips May has struck the Crazy Raccoon win streak. Oh yeah, his demons are real frosty after this. Somehow he still kills 2, because for him, hitting headshots is easier than dropping Blizzard in the same postal code as the enemy, but whatever, I guess. Meanwhile, Alfie is locking up Max in the back rooms and making him wish he never escaped his cage for the bi-weekly game. Luckily, he gets out of that situation alive, but he is not familiar with Alpha Freak's game. He knew Max was not built to eat this Blizzard and started a whole new Ice Age just to get the kill. The real crazy thing about this map was CR disrespecting Bernard's bombs. Nothing was gonna stop Shu. Bro really wanted the nade, and Lip was unaware that Bernard came strapped with the Bunny Blaster. Having stopped Crazy Raccoon's map win streak, ZETA were feeling pretty good, but Junbin was moving like 2016 Snapchat the way he wasn't letting his streak end. And if you're wondering how he got there, so is Flora. Junbin is the ultimate super villain. He got that Spider-Man movement mixed with the brooding rooftop observation of Batman, and he does not use his powers for good. This was the most effective way to strike the fear of Godbin onto Flora. Then while that's going on, he sang swoops in like a henchman at the Ball Father's command, putting Crazy Raccoon at match point on King's Row, where we got some real he-on-he action, no pause. While Sang told Sung to pack his bags, Freaky went under, up around, finished his business, and then spun back for his dead homeboy to bust a barrage all over He-Sang. ZETA finished the map with time, and Crazy Raccoon was fighting for their lives for that extra 1 second on the clock, but Finn was ready to cause chaos in the last push. He-Sung went in off the nade, and as long as Junbin didn't spawn in to cause a mass extinction event, ZETA just needed a tick on their extra round to force map 5. And they did get it, but only after Chorong broke He-Sung's ankles on a merry-go-goose round chase with the Juno Boots movement. He was big chillin', perfectly zoning Chorong so Junbin had no help on the point. He really thought he had it all under control. Until bang! A ball's making its way across the map. Where is this coming from? He's looking around. He has no idea that Chorong is in a whole new state, and the backline is on a revenge tour. He-Sung spent over half his time as a professional player hunting down Chorong, trying to stop him from doing what he wants, just to end this Tom and Jerry ass chase down with Chorong popping out and hiding above his nose. When he eventually turned around and saw Chorong, his mind exploded. There's no way. Which is probably why Bernard stepped back into the ring to try and be the arbiter of map 5. And this play might not look like much because it really isn't, but it closed out a fight so absurd that ZETA had zero business even taking. This is the kind of fight that teams look back on and just pretend it does not exist because it did not happen before and it will not happen again. Violet gets caught snoozing across the map, so CR jump on the opportunity to run his pockets. Violet though, he doesn't want to give up what he's trolled so hard to earn, and he goes as far as hitting his Alari ult as he dies, which causes Chio to beat. But while this is going on, Alfie and Flora have a Romeo and Juliet type rendezvous on the point, and it ends in a similar tragedy. Flora gives his life to bait Crazy Raccoon back towards their spawn, taking heat off of Alfie and giving his team more time to regroup. As a parting gift, he drops a Bob's Bugs Be Gone level threat on the backline, removing the pests and snatching the first point for themselves. This meant Junbin started getting devious and was plotting something dastardly evil from his rooftop perch. It doesn't matter where you are, Junbin is a satellite gathering more intel on the opposition than the US government. What's the counterplay to Junbin coming from an angle that doesn't exist and pile driving harder than an XQC desk slam? He is a constant UAV with Valkyrie missiles ready to strike on location. And when you combo that with the #1 most committed Tracer player LARP of all time, it's deadly. But sometimes it's not about the goal, it's about the assist. And Junbin was the ultimate team player, taking the hit to make a play and getting in there so Heesang could whip out the blade for his fallen guy and retaliate with double the damage. This blade trade chipped ZETA enough for Crazy Raccoon to win the extended fight and stay on top. So in the end, ZETA went to map 5 every game and lost all 3 of them. This meant the Korea playoff bracket was looking a little peculiar. But anyway, thanks for watching, have yourself a good one, deuces.